Lovely. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. So it's just 11 o'clock, but I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Suzanne, and I'm going to be hosting the webinar for you today. Just to begin, it will be recorded, so if you are more comfortable to keep your cameras off, that's absolutely fine. It will be circulated after as well, so you can share around today. So it's very nice to see you all here today, and Mark will essentially been going through the furniture and kitchen manufacturers packaging, sustainable materials, looking at the latest trends, etc. Leading that conversation today will be Mark Kirby, so the sales and commercial director, as you can see there at Switch Packaging. I also want to encourage you quickly, just a bit of housekeeping, so please do put your questions in the chat box. So hopefully we want to keep this very interactive for you guys, and then we have a Q&A session after to answer any specific questions that you have for you. So I'm going to let Mark lead the way and share my screen, and over to you, Mark, to introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne, for that. That's very kind. And welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We do appreciate it. So welcome to our second webinar about sustainable packaging alternatives for kitchen and furniture manufacturing. If you missed our first webinar, it was actually on food and beverage. So please, if you look at our YouTube channel, you'll be able to bring that up and look through it as well. So my name is Mark Kirby. I am the Sales Commercial Director for Switch Packaging. I've worked in the packaging industry for nearly 20 years now and have a lot of experience in the furniture sector, especially on the kitchen manufacturing side as well. We'll run through the agenda in a moment, but I want to encourage you all to ask questions throughout using the chat box, as Suzanne mentioned. I have my colleague Suzanne, obviously, who will be looking at that and going through the question and answer session afterwards as well. So let's begin. So today, I really want to give you an overview of some of the key material and design considerations for kitchen and furniture manufacturers. We'll be delving into an introduction into the kitchen and furniture packaging landscape, material capabilities including pulp, solid board and corrugated, and their applications as well, key requirements for packaging in the sector and latest trends, projects which help demonstrate what we've discussed, and lastly, obviously, the Q&A session. So starting with the landscape. Let's begin by setting the scene. I'm sure many of you have joined on here today knowing that there have been some radical changes in packaged materials, very much so, and the rising need for sustainability as well. Storing and transporting large bulky products like furniture is complex, and it is difficult sometimes. And for this, traditionally, packaging has been too large for the products inside. This means that a filler is often needed, void fill, and bubble wrap is a popular choice for this as well. Bubble wrap is made from resin film. It's protective and helps to prevent damages. However, it's not sustainable. The material increased carbon footprint and ends up in landfills and the oceans, becoming part of the microplastics and therefore entering our food chain. 240,000 miles of bubble wrap are produced every year, believe it or not. But did you know that it also takes up to 500 years for this to actually decompose in landfills? And every 17 billion pounds of furniture is actually sent to landfill as well. So it's a big, big part of it. And we hope you agree that really demonstrates how changes need to be made for the sake of the environment going forward. So one way to help reduce the issues raised on the previous slide is by creating intelligent and made-to-measure packaging. The benefits of this include warehouse space. When you use furniture packaging that isn't quite right size, it takes up more space than it needs to in your warehouse, costing you money in the long run and in the short term as well. Saving warehouse space will become increasingly important in coming years as the UK experiences a shortfall in available storage space, making the cost of warehouse space per square foot increase. We've already started to see it now, to be honest with you. Health and safety. While it's impossible to avoid all work-based accidents, you can significantly reduce the risk by using furniture packaging that fits the furniture itself. Doing so makes it easier to move using forklift trucks, for example, reducing the amount of heavy lifting your staff have to do and chances of them actually hurting themselves in the process. Almost 25% of all workplace injuries are due to handling, lifting or carrying. Transportation. According to research published in 2018, over 30% of businesses worldwide say that they're using packaging that's at least 40% too big. The 40% extra space or empty space is caused because businesses rely on standardizing packaging, not being bespoke. which is designed to a certain size rather than the size of the product it is shipping. By changing this around, so your furniture packaging is designed to fit your product, you can significantly reduce, if not eliminate, the empty space. This in turn lowers transportation costs because you can get more product onto each delivery vehicle, meaning fewer trips are needed to deliver your product. Damages, again, a very important part. So in 2017, 40% of consumers reported that the goods they received were damaged in some way. Damaged goods can't be sold or need to be sold at a discount, meaning they are likely to be returned to you, leaving you to cover the cost or sell them at a reduced price, and obviously affecting margin and bottom line. Using furniture packager is the right size reduces the likelihood of goods getting damaged because they are less likely to shift in transport as they are more securely packed within the delivery vehicle, and there is less empty space for them to move around in, and less waste. By reducing the amount of packaging, consumers will have less waste to discard of, reducing the impact on the environment and landfill, as well as reducing costs for the manufacturer. And obviously it gives a much better impression to the consumer as well. What is the impact of plastic in our environment? Well, of 8.3 billion metric tons of plastic that has been produced, it's a big number, 6.3 billion metric tons have become plastic waste. Of that, only 9% has been recycled. The vast majority, the 79%, is accumulating in landfills as we speak and is obviously continuing as well. Much of our non-biodegradable packaging ends up in landfills and can be incredibly dangerous to the environment. Landfills not only release large amounts of methane and other toxic chemicals, which can contribute to global warming and groundwater pollution, but they can also result in a loss of species as well. The government has confirmed that the introduction of plastic packaging tax, which is from the 1st of April this year, as I'm sure many of you, all of you are aware, the tax aims to encourage greater use of recycled plastic and help tackle plastic waste. At the moment, we're looking at about £200 a tonne, which will be given and put on straight to the manufacturer, which then obviously then goes down into the unit prices to yourselves and consumers. The rise of sustainability has dramatically increased, especially since the pandemic. We've seen about 71% increase in Google searches, and 81% of consumers are willing to pay more. 61% have limited use of single-use plastic, investing in more recycled products, and 1 out of 3 have stopped purchasing certain brands due to sustainability concerns altogether, which is quite shocking but understandable. Sustainability not only improves your brand's image, but is more cost effective or more cost efficient, and helps contribute to saving the planet. It's no longer a nice to have, it is a necessity now. So what else has changed over the last few years? Excuse me. There's been a recent surge in e-commerce, which is hugely important in the furniture and kitchen manufacturing world and is only set to rise. Excuse me. Buying preferences and behaviours have evolved and adapted, which has seen a huge uplift to online buying, as everyone's aware. Amazon sales themselves were up 37% year on year in Q3 last year. That comes from Me Consultancy 2020 as a source. With the restriction imposed across the nation, many businesses have pivoted and continue to make sales through e-commerce. In response to this surge, brands have had to review and upgrade their packaging or create new designs altogether. Not only the material and how it looks, but reviewing their packaging lines, size and designs as a whole project. So this leads us nicely into exploring the various alternative materials available and suitable for your requirements, looking specifically at furniture and kitchen manufacturers. We can assume that many of you have been seeing this rise in pulp, especially with e-commerce and for bespoke packaging. So what exactly is pulp? Pulp is a renewable, a biodegradable raw material made from recycled waste paper or virgin fibre. Whilst relatively new compared to some of the more traditional paper packaging materials, pulp's popularity and reputation as a go-to sustainable packaging option for large, bespoke, heavy, small and fragile products is fast growing. In fact, according to FMI, the moulded fibre pulp packaging market is anticipated to rise at 5.1% CAGR between 2021 and 2031, which is incredible, as compared to the 3.2 CAGR registered during the 2015 and 2020. It's a big increase. The design possibilities are endless, from end caps, trays, plates, clamshell containers, and actually much more on top of that as well. Excuse me. So looking specifically at kitchen and furniture manufacturers, Pulp is the ideal choice for interior packaging for corner protection, etc. Here are a few key benefits of Pulp. It provides the highest level of protection due to its moulding abilities. It can be bespoke and made to measure. There are cost-effective and space-saving benefits, and it is able to fully replace polystyrene, which we all hate. We'll show an example of this project and these projects in action in sections towards the end, so we'll come back to that. Here you can see some examples on the slide of how Pulp can be used for furniture and kitchen products in general. The top left we have a channel, to the top right we have a door safe. Bottom left we have an end cap, or we just do as a tin. Middle bottom we have corner, and lastly bottom right we have a side buffer. Okay, moving on. So an alternative to help reduce plastic bubble wrap comes from using Pulp. Pulp pack and wrap, as we call it, is a simple step to reduce the carbon footprint. Adhere to corporate responsibility and create a great brand impression. This sustainable alternative to internal plastic protective packaging, such as bubble wrap and air cushions, provides the same level of protection, and actually it can be even a higher level of protection. And best of all, is completely renewable, biodegradable, and eco-friendly as well. It is available in sheets and can simply be torn to fit the required size. Okay, so we know how popular corrugated is within the packaging industry, especially for furniture and kitchen manufacturers. It is robust, easily accessible packaging material. It's manufactured with rows of air columns, the fluting, making the paper stronger than average cardboard. The air acts as a cushion on the items inside the packaging, and the ridges inside provide strength and flexibility to prevent damages. Corrugated can be considered your happy medium. It provides a high level of protection and can be used to create beautiful visual designs as well. Excuse me. The key benefits include recyclable, sustainable, lightweight and strong, cost effective. When looking at different types of packaging available, why not consider using multiple materials, a bit of a composite, and exploiting their benefits? This is what we call composite packaging, and is becoming increasingly popular. It is great to use different materials for different aspects of a design, and this often is used for more complicated and extensive packaging projects. For example, Pulp can be used as an inner packaging for corners, and corrugated can be used as the outside packaging, putting it in very simple terms. Okay, with packaging, it is important to consider all areas to improve the sustainability and carbon footprint of the design, even down to the tape used itself. Craft paper tape, as you can see on the screen, is an eco-friendly and biodegradable alternative to single-use plastic tape. You can personalize a tape as well with your logo, brand awareness. You can also see, here you can see our environmentally friendly craft tape, which we actually supply here. So now that we've covered the paper alternatives for furniture and kitchen manufacturers, this leads us up nicely into the key requirements for manufacturing packaging. First of all, protection and transport. Void space is considered the space between the edge of the product and the inside wall of the packaging itself. Failure to eliminate the void spaces causes stacking inabilities and damage to products within the warehouse and transit as well, especially for e-commerce going forward. We design our packaging to ensure there is zero void space to fill. You can see an example here, obviously on the screen. By reducing the size of the packaging, not only creates more space in storage and transit, but also reduces your business's carbon footprint and amount of void space to fill in the first place. Okay, using quantities are also as an important factor, which aren't often considered up front. This will influence material selection and design. For example, corrugated can be used for virtually all unit quantities, from the smallest to the highest, due to it being so readily available and established in its manufacturing process. However, pulp is only suitable for projects with units of about 10,000 and above. Why? This is due to the upfront moulding costs, meaning that pulp wouldn't be feasible, economical, sensible options for units under 10,000, but also the process itself is much more elaborate and industrial, which means that you need to run the machines for at least a day, hence why the units are starting at around 10,000 rather than being one or two. Okay, there are many benefits to suspension packaging for furniture and kitchen manufacturers. These assemblies are scalable, customizable, making suspension packaging an ideal solution to protect a wide range of products. Suspension packaging solutions typically offer impact resistance, whilst retention packaging secures the product, preventing from shifting in transport. Benefits of suspension packs are it elevates the product to create space between the inner walls, safely elevates product holding it in place, protects fragile and oddly shaped products, very good for that, cost effective, which it is, and also crust resistant as well. Moving on. Efficient lead times are an important consideration, which is influenced by material selection as well. For example, corrugated have relatively short lead times, whereas pulp can be longer, again, because of the process. To help improve lead times, we have introduced a sort of stop and serve service. Now, this works in different ways, but we can look at obviously your usage, we can look at your forecast, and we can actually help by saying, well, if we look at, for example, look at a higher quantity covering 3 months, we can manufacture it in one go, which obviously brings the price down, and we can stock and serve it for you, which obviously beats the lead time situation as well. Because even on corrugated at the moment, it has gone from, on average, 2 to 3 weeks to anything from 2 to 3 months. So by doing the stock and serve service, we can actually eliminate that problem out of the equation completely. Okay. Another key consideration is whether your packaging requires bespoke design. We often get a lot of people approach us who are currently experiencing breakages or that are guilty of leaving wasted space, as discussed previously. Custom designs can suit all project requirements to help prevent these damages, especially for heavy objects such as doors and tables. Protecting their sides and corners with bespoke designs is actually vital. The most suitable paper packaging material for fully customized designs is molded pulp. Pulp can be molded around obviously virtually anything and provides a very high level of protection to prevent any damages or breakages. In some cases, it's actually been known to actually eliminate that by about 100%, which is incredible. Staying on brand with your packaging is highly important. You want to be able to express your company's values and personality, and other benefits of that include it determines how your business stands out, builds a concise brand personality, it attracts new customers and keeps customers loyal, so there's your retention, and establishes credibility within your product range as well, which is vitally important. Even if this is just for e-commerce, printing your packaging is so important for brand recognition and your marketing. You can digitally print your logo with eco-friendly ink, water-based ink, for example, onto the outer walls of your packaging with certain materials such as solid board and corrugated. For pulp, you can currently only emboss, as the technology isn't there really at the moment to be able to print onto it. You are able to flood coat with one colour. However, this takes the minimum quantity up to about 80,000 in most cases due to the actual process involved. But it is an option if you are there for higher quantities. Okay, so projects in action, this is really important. So now to look at some projects that we've been working on specific to the furniture and kitchen manufacturing sector to showcase what we've covered today. Hopefully this will obviously back up and show obviously what we have been talking about. So we had a well-established kitchen company required sustainable packaging to protect their doors during the fitting process with a sustainable alternative than what they were using. We offered our consultancy and technical packaging experience and expertise to design a completely renewable, biodegradable and compostable tray made from recycled waste-based pulp, as you can see from the image. On site, products are prone to be scratched and damaged if this tray wasn't designed to overcome this issue. And this tray then obviously was overcome and designed to do exactly that. The Pulp tray design not only removed a large amount of polystyrene from the environment, as you can see, but was also more efficient in its size, scale, manufacturing process compared with the previous design. These efficiencies save the client money in warehouse storage, reduce emissions during transportation, improves brand image and prevents damages as well. You only have to look at the polystyrene and Pulp tray as shown in the picture to appreciate the size difference. Okay, this project demonstrates packaging for a leading supplier to the fitted furniture industry, specialising in processed sheet material, vinyl wrap furniture doors and furniture fittings. Prior to Switch, this client was using polystyrene corners to protect the vinyl wrap doors. With sustainability extremely important to them and their customers, they wanted to move to a sustainable packaging solution and materials to help reduce the carbon footprint and protect the environment as well. Due to the size and weight of the doors, as well as the scale of the project, we recommended moulded Pulp to replace their polystyrene corners. These are completely bespoke to the products and can be manufactured in very high quantity numbers if needed. So on this one here we have again Pulp corners in action as well. We were called by a major kitchen manufacturer who were using both plastic and polystyrene and tasked with replacing both materials in the packing process. Now the client did not want their customers to have to dispose of the materials when the product arrived at the client's home for fitment. Polystyrene was also difficult to store and had a high breakage level through their factory. Waste was created before anything had even been packed. We set about designing a Pulp moulded corner that would meet the requirements of the actual criteria set to us. After vigorous trials, which included various drops from different locations, within and out of the courier logistics chain, the product passed all tests and no damage has been reported since using the new design at all. We use these Pulp corners to help a major UK kitchen manufacturer replace and eliminate plastic and polystyrene packaging that they use to protect their products, again with 100% success rate. The environmental benefits don't really get much better than that, to be honest. Okay, and that's it. I hope that I've given you some good background and understanding of the different paper packaging materials available and design considerations for furniture and kitchen manufacturers like yourselves. I've highlighted 4 key take-home messages here, which I think is really important. So avoid wasted space, consider made-to-measure packaging, research the alternative materials out there, and consult before you commit as well. Packaging can sometimes seem like a bit of a minefield, which is why at Switch we hope to guide and support you in making the process easy and simple, ultimately taking the pressure off you. Excuse me. Let's build a better future for our children and future generations. Collaborate and change our approach now so that they won't have to worry about their quality of life or the environment they will be surrounded by in the future. At Switch, we're very proud that we can source and create packaging alternatives that look great, are protective and cost effective, but most importantly, they are recyclable, compostable and biodegradable. Okay, so lastly, let's move to the question and answer session. If we aren't able to answer all the questions now due to time, we will make a note of them and send you an email directly, so they still will be answered, so please still ask. So Suzanne, I'll hand it over to yourself and I'll let you ask me some questions from what people are sending in.
Lovely, thank you very much, and thanks for that, Mark. Some really insightful points, and I know we've got quite a lot of interest in the chat as well, so I'll go that through with you first. So first question, so what material would you recommend to protect heavy and large furniture units such as doors during transport?
Yep, so really normally a composite really between corrugated and Pulp. To be honest with you, the Pulp on the corners and edging works extremely well, and they can be produced bespokely to the doors and the panels that you have. Everyone has slightly different panels, different thicknesses, obviously different dimensions in general, but also they have different requirements. So if you have a vinyl covering, you have to be very careful on what you use to stop scratching from happening, which can happen from the packaging itself. So because of that, between corrugated and pulp works really well.
Lovely. Perfect. And that was demonstrated quite well in the case studies as well, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, next one. So this one, is pulp as protective as polystyrene for bespoke designs?
It is. In all trials that we've done for all different sectors, it actually has worked out to be, if not the same cover of protection, if not better than polystyrene. With polystyrene, you find that it's quite brittle and breaks quite easily, where actually pulp being paper-based actually doesn't do that. So actually, in most cases, it can be better than the polystyrene.
Lovely. Okay, next question. Does pulp scratch sensitive high gloss finishes?
Okay, it depends on the design itself. So in some cases it can, but obviously we always do trials and we always look at each project separately as a bespoke project to make sure it doesn't. And we'll always come up with a solution to make sure that it didn't going forward, but it still worked for you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Are there any key designs and thickness requirements for pulp where weaknesses can be introduced that impact their required performance?
Yeah, there are, yes. So we treat everything bespokely. So the answer is yes, but it's hard to give you an exact answer. So what we would do is that we would normally take and borrow the product itself, and then we would design around the product, bearing all those sort of things in mind. So yes, it can vary, but once we've done a bespoke consultation on the product, we can determine what is needed.
Yeah. And if there are any specific questions, I guess for projects, they can email you direct, can't they?
Absolutely, that's the best way of doing it, definitely.
Lovely. Okay. Does pulp involve higher tooling costs than plastic ones?
No, it doesn't. So obviously there are tooling costs. I won't go into detail at the moment, but there are two tools that you need. One ABS plastic tool, which is a sample mould, and one full production aluminium mould as well. However, depend on the size. The general cost of these moulds are around £5,000 to £6,000 for the set, where plastic moulding, as people will know, injection moulding can be £15,000 to £20,000 per mould on their own.
Lovely. Are these materials, so I'm guessing the sustainable materials you mentioned, are they UK manufactured?
In some cases, yes. So in some cases they're UK manufactured, and in some cases they actually are manufactured over in China. We have a factory over there. So we have manufacturing factories based in the UK and in China. Although they do come from China, the reason for that is there's specialty equipment needed for a lot of bespoke designs. Manufacturers in the UK and even in Europe, for example, can only produce the sort of disposable, consumable products, like, for example, the drinking cups you can get and the small pizza boxes. So to get the caliper and the Pacific design, we do need to go further afield in some cases.
Perfect. Is this looking at changing at all, Mark, in terms of because pulp, you mentioned that it's growing. I'm assuming sort of facilities and factories here will be coming our way.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are sort of looking into invest in that ourselves in the long term. But it is because molded pulp has been around for many, many years, but it hasn't been used to the same degree, obviously, as plastic molding for obvious reasons. Plastic molding has become very cheap, very easy to produce, very quick to produce as well. The actual technology for pulp now is advancing literally on a monthly, well, yeah, on a monthly basis, to be honest with you, and it is looking to be brought into the UK a lot more going forward, probably in 2 to 3 years' time, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so does paper packaging for those products cost more than plastics?
But they can do, yes. Again, because of the actual process involved, it is more costly to produce in pulp than it is in plastic. However, they do give better protection. So what you can do, like some of the case studies that we've shown, is that actually you can save money by reducing the damages, especially if you can reduce them to 100% as well. So actually, although the unit price for pulp, for example, can be more, in other areas like damages, you can actually save a lot more money in the long run. So actually, it will actually cost you less.
Lovely. Okay. And the last one, unless anyone's got anyone they want to drop in quickly now, how long is the average timeline from design to production? For example, I'm guessing maybe pulp for this one.
Yep, so with Pulp, you're looking at probably from design to production, you're looking at anything between 2 to 3 months. But with corrugated, for example, you're looking at probably a good couple of months. With the corrugated and solid board market, that's changed quite a lot because obviously people like Amazon using obviously a lot more paper now because of the demand through the pandemic has gone up by e-commerce. People are buying a lot more online. The lead times for corrugated were 2 to 3 weeks only a couple of years ago. Now they can be a good couple of months because of supply and demand. So it's something to bear in mind, especially when you're looking at a project going forward and a launch date.
Lovely. Okay. Well, I think that pretty wraps it up nicely. Unless you've got anything else to say, Mark, or are you happy that anyone can drop you an email?
No, not at all. No, I think we've covered everything quite nicely. Hopefully, it's been of use to everyone watching. Please, obviously, do contact me directly with anything or any more questions that you have. I'll be very happy to answer them.
Lovely. I'll also just drop Mark's details as well in the chat box as well. So if anyone does want to connect with him on LinkedIn or drop him in a message, they're all there for you.
Excellent. Thank you, Suzanne.
Lovely. Well, thanks everyone for joining today, and hopefully it was a benefit.
Thank you, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on the next one as well.